So what is your angle of mastery and how can you use this to be able to attract, enroll, convert these amazing ready to invest clients into your business? That is exactly what I'm going to explain to you today. So I want to kind of take this by parts and talk about different things that are really important to be able to understand the power behind this concept and how it came to be and all of these different things so that you can easily incorporate this into your business as well, right? So here's the thing. For the last few years, I have been almost obsessing with what is required to be able to attract really high quality leads, because what I realized is that following the bro marketer way of doing things and the things that I had been taught by so many coaches, so many programs, so many marketing gurus out there didn't feel completely aligned. This Ursula language, I've talked about this before, that speaks to the poor unfortunate soul, where you're digging into the pain and you're digging into the problem and you're making people feel miserable and like they can't sleep and nothing works and all of these things to get them to buy. And then when you hop on a sales call, it's all about pressure and getting them to go to the depths of their soul to uncover why they need to work with you right now. And it's this whole drama, right? I was done with it a few years ago because I didn't feel like, number one, it was how I wanted to be spoken to. It's not what got me to buy. And it just didn't feel aligned with me, with my spiritual beliefs and practices and how I operate, because I operate always from a place of absolute and total abundance. And that didn't feel really abundant to me, communicating that way. So I set out on this journey to really uncover what it takes to speak to ready to invest clients and how they respond and what they respond to. And I have other videos and episodes where I talk about this in more detail, but I really went very deep into defining that part of the equation. And I feel like I nailed it. I understood it. I changed my messaging. We changed the way in which we show up. We changed a lot of things within our business, because one thing that I want to say before I jump into explaining angle of mastery is that this process isn't just about updating your copy and your landing page or your webinar. It's about the entire ecosystem of your brand, including yourself and how you're speaking to yourself and how you're showing up for your audience and all of these different things. So all of that we did, but I still felt like something was missing. I had this sensation that there was still something that hadn't come through, that needed to give this another level, because it's one thing to understand who your audience is and get a lot of clarity around the subset of people that you actually want to be talking to, but it's another entire different thing of how to talk to these people, how to communicate to them in a way that makes them feel like they need you. And especially more than anything else, how to overcome the objection, will this work for me? Because at the end of the day, if you really think about it, that is honestly the only objection that anybody really has, right? If you knew without a shadow of a doubt that something would work for you and you had a problem that you wanted to solve, you would do whatever it takes to make it work. And you would find the money, find the time, find the energy, do whatever it takes to make that happen. Because if this is a priority for you and something important and you know that it will work, well, what are we doing here? So that's when I started to kind of elaborate this idea behind your angle of mastery. And part of it came from the brand message assessments that I do. So basically, you probably know this, and I will do an entire episode talking about how we do these assessments and what happens in them. And I'll give you some examples. But basically what we do is I hop on these 15-minute brand message assessments where I evaluate people's brand, their messaging, their marketing, their content, and I give them very specific strategic feedback on what they can do to improve that so that they can attract better quality leads. By the way, you can do that at brandmessagesession.com if you want to book it with me. So anyways, we've been doing these assessments for a few years now, but I actually took over this process for my team a few months ago. And it happened for a lot of different reasons, but it was the absolute best thing that could ever happen to me because of a lot of things, including the fact that I was there like in the middle of it, looking at people's brands, building connections, and really defining and understanding what it takes and what's necessary to actually build a successful brand message. And what happened is that I kept on coming across the same issue. I would look at these websites and brands. Some of them were really beautiful. Some of them were kind of, okay. Some of them were amazing. Some of them were not so good. Some of them had very vague messaging. Some of them had very specific ones. But the number one thing that I saw in common is that almost 100% of the people, I'm not going to say 100, let's say 99%, but honestly, it's like 99.9% of the people that I have spoken to in the last few months, this is over 100 people, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that there's no clear differentiation. And it's not about differentiation in terms of like, let me bring my expertise, because all of these people had like, well, I have these certifications, or I have a PhD, or I have these testimonials from clients, or I have these amount of followers on social media, or I have whatever credentials. It's not about that. When I talk about differentiation, it was a lack of clarity around why is this system different? Why is this system going to work? And what is this system? Beyond a framework, which I have been talking about frameworks for years and how creating your unique methodology, this is something that goes beyond that. It's how do you show me what your proposal is? What do you propose? What is it that what is the idea that you're selling to me? And that is ultimately what the angle of mastery is all about. So when I really went into this process, and I kept on coming across the same thing, I was already developing this concept on the back end, but I hadn't come up with a name. The name came up in the most random way, actually. And I'll quickly tell the story. I was in Colombia in the summer. My dad had gotten a kidney transplant. My mom was the donor. I was kind of in the middle of chaos. My husband had to travel. I had to be alone with my 3 kids. And my niece and my cousin, my little cousin, were there. And I had to take care of all of these kids. And I was alone in the mountains. And one day, out of the blue, I'm at the park and I was like, your angle of mastery. That is it. That is the concept. This is exactly what I'm trying to explain and what I'm trying to bring together. So that's how I came up with the concept and idea. Although I had been working on this, just hadn't given it officially a name until that moment. So for me, your angle of mastery is exactly how it sounds. It's what is your angle? What is your point of view? What is your perspective? Because if we think about it, we're speaking to the ready to invest client. We're talking to the people that are looking for solutions, that have invested in the past. These people are going to be skeptical. They have invested. They are open to investing. They're looking, they already have information. These are not people that are making random little decisions and kind of, fell into your funnel, fell into your sales con, out of pressure, bought. That's not who we talk to. So these are people that want a little bit more depth. And what we do through the angle of mastery is show them what your point of view is, show them what your perspective is, what your angle, what your vision, what your big idea actually is. Now, what you want to do with this is that everything you create in your content needs to sell that big idea. That is it. This is the only thing that you have to do in terms of content creation, whether we're talking about social media posts on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, carousels, TikToks, YouTube, whatever you're doing, webinars, video series, funnels, copy, video sales letter, text sales letters, it doesn't matter. It's how can I sell people into my big idea? How do I show them that angle of mastery? And the angle of mastery, since I came up with the concept, has evolved and very likely will keep on evolving. But I can tell you that since I started incorporating this into my business and into my clients' business, the level of takeoff and momentum and results have been extraordinary. I literally cannot put it any other way. They have been absolutely extraordinary because they have taken what we had to another level. And this obviously is happening to us, but we're seeing this happen to our clients as well in the minute, by the minute, literally. It is so impactful because it's about really determining, why will this work for me? It's answering that question to your audience and proving it to them through your content. If you go to angleofmastery.com, you'll be able to watch my 20-minute, sign up for it if you haven't already. You'll be able to watch my 20-minute presentation where I go into Angle of Mastery in more depth, but also I show you how I do this like in person. You can see me doing this in person, me proving my point, me showing people why this will work for them. And for me, this is really powerful. There has to be a match between everything that you do, because what I want you to understand is that these ready to invest clients don't buy from the best. Number one, what the heck is the best? I don't know what the best is. Who knows who the best is? We're all the best in a way, right? And if you're competing, essentially you're losing. We want to put ourselves apart from the rest. We want to put ourselves apart from our competition or people that are offering similar solutions to the problems that our audience has, and really be able to put our stake in the ground as a category of one, as the leader of the category of one, as the only leader, right? So this is why creating this angle of mastery makes such a big impact. And I was saying a moment ago that Angle of Mastery has a lot of different kind of sub-concepts within it and frameworks that I've been elaborating and going very deeply into. And there's a few things that are involved within this, but I'll give you one of them, and it's really understanding what the cause of your audience's problem is. Because one thing that I've uncovered throughout this process is that one thing is the problem that your audience has, and another thing is what's causing the problem. And the thing is that usually the thing that we believe are problems are actually symptoms of a different problem, right? And what we want to uncover, or what you want to uncover, is what is the cause? What are problems? What are symptoms? And what is actually causing these symptoms? What is the root cause of all of this? And when you really clarify that, it changes everything, because everybody can talk about problems. Problems is something that is like taught in online business one-on-one. It's basic, and it's very simple, and everybody can talk about problems, and that's good and all. But if you want actual results, if you want actual like these ready to invest clients, these high quality leads to pay attention, you have to go deeper. You have to go way deeper than just saying the same thing. And when we talk about cause of problems, I'm not saying come up with a scientific, complicated cause that is so hard to understand. You lost me at hello. Instead of you had me at hello, you lost me at hello. So it's really about like, what is the cause, and how do I explain that cause in a way that really makes my audience feel like, oh, I never heard of that before, and you got my attention, and I'm paying attention right now because this is something that is honestly really, really different. So that is in short what the Angle of Mastery is, and what you want to do is really incorporate it into everything that you do. We have completely spent the last 6 months, basically, since we have been working using the Angle of Mastery, changing everything in our business, changing our entire marketing strategy and model and content creation, the modules in our programs, everything, because the power that this concept has is something that I've never experienced before. And what we're seeing with our clients is something that is really revolutionary as well. The level of speed of them getting results and the things that are happening are really incredible just from the result of this. And obviously now I look back and I think like, this has been so obviously in front of us, all of us, the whole time. Everybody talks about differentiation and what your unique selling proposition is and how to stand out and all these things. But oftentimes people focus on differentiation from not necessarily like a bad point of view, but not necessarily a point of view that's going to make a difference, right? Like they're like, well, let me use my personality, or let me use my story, or let me use this or that. And those things are nice to have and are helpful, especially because we live in an identity economy and people do make purchasing decisions based on identity. But a high ticket client is not going to buy just because you're nice, or just because they like your little story or your big story, right? That's not the reason. They're going to buy because they really have to believe that what you do will work for them. And It's not enough to share your testimonials. It's not enough to share your credentials, not in a world where everything could be fake at the end of the day, if you think about it. We need to create content that shows our audience, proves to our audience our big idea, that proves to our audience that angle of mastery. And that is what it's missing. That is 100% what is missing in everything that you see out there. If you look at webinars and you see content and you go scroll through social media, think about the people that are actually selling something that feels impactful, that catches your attention. Usually there's a big idea behind it. There's something different about it. That's what you need to incorporate into your messaging. So go to angleofmastery.com so you can watch the video where I explain this a little bit further and I give more examples. And also go to brandmessagesession.com to book your 15-minute call with me, where I will personally evaluate your messaging and give you some strategic upgrades that you can implement to bring out that angle of mastery even more. I'll be very specific. This isn't a script. This isn't like I don't even have notes in front of me. I go in, I evaluate your brand, your message, your content, and give you very specific feedback. So go ahead and do that below. Ask me any questions that you have below, and I will see you in another episode really soon. Bye.